Hey there, tower defense fans! If you've been diving into ball tower defense and feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the summoning banners, trust me, you're not alone. Whether you're a newbie or a seasoned Roblox warrior, figuring out where to spend those precious gems can feel like solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. But don't sweat it, we're here to help you crush the competition and build the ultimate lineup of units. In today's video, we're breaking down the ball tower defense meta with our definitive unit tier list. We'll guide you through which banners are worth your time and which ones are, well, not so great. So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's make sure your next summon is a game changer. Stick around, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which units are carrying the game and which ones are just taking up space. Let's roll. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking units in ball tower defense. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Old Ball, Fireball, Poison Ball, Ball, and Ice Ball. Alright, let's talk about the true underachievers of ball tower defense. The dreaded E-tier balls. You know, the ones that make you question why they even exist. These guys are like the soggy fries at the bottom of your takeout bag. Technically there, but are they even worth it? Let's dive in and break it down. First up, Old Ball. This guy is the budget king, super cheap to place and upgrade, but oh boy does it pay the price in performance. The DPS is so bad it feels like it's trying to fight enemies with a limp noodle. And don't even get me started on the range. If you're relying on Old Ball, you're better off just yelling at the enemies yourself. It might actually do more damage. Then we've got the status effect wannabes. Fireball and Poison Ball. Sure, Fireball burns and Poison Ball poisons, great on paper, right? But compared to literally any non-normie ball, they're about as effective as throwing a wet match at a forest fire. Ice Ball isn't much better, it slows enemies, which is cute, but when everything else is faster and stronger, what's even the point? And Ball, the best DPS normie, but still trash next to anything in a higher tier. It's like winning a fastest snail competition. Congrats, but why? The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Rock Ball, Boxer Ball, Sniper Ball, Peasant Ball, Police Ball, Ball 2.0, Survivor Ball, Grug, and Electric Ball. Alright, let's talk about the underdogs of ball tower defense, the D-tier units. You know, those units that show up like, hey, I'm here to help, and then you kinda regret inviting them to the party. But don't worry, we're diving into them today because even the D-tier has its moments. Let's see who's barely holding it together in the lineup. First up, Rock Ball and Boxer Ball. These two are like gym bros with arms so short they can't reach their potential. The DPS is fantastic, seriously, they can dish out damage like pros. But then, their range. Oh boy, their range. It's like they're shouting, come closer, I promise I'll hurt you. Not ideal, but hey, if you've got enemies walking right up to them, they'll put in some work. Now, let's chat about Sniper Ball. You'd think with a name like that, it'd be the cream of the crop, right? Wrong. While it's got solid range and decent pierce, the DPS just doesn't live up to the hype. And those upgrades? Why so expensive? It's like buying a sports car that struggles to go uphill. Sniper Ball's trying, but it's not that guy. Then there's Peasant Ball and Police Ball, two oddballs, pun intended. Peasant Ball's claim to fame is farming, which is great if you want to play economy mode, but don't expect it to pull its weight in a fight. Police Ball, though? Sleeper hit. It's one of the best odd units with solid DPS, good range, and cheap upgrades. It's like your bargain bin MVP. Show it some love. Finally, we've got Electric Ball, Grug, and the rest of the Misfit crew. Electric Ball actually stuns, which is super handy in sticky situations, probably the most normie-friendly unit of the bunch. Grug? AoE potential, sure, but the DPS is straight up trash. It's like a lovable caveman trying to invent fire and you just want to pat it on the head. As for the others, well, they're cheap, they're functional, but let's just say they're not winning any awards anytime soon. And there you have it, the D-tier squad in all their meh glory. Whether you love them, hate them, or just tolerate them, they've got a place in the game. Kind of. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Demon Ball, Bomb Ball, Grassman, Slinger, Monkey, Flame Ball, Backpacker, DeGrungy, Noob, and Beach Ball. Alright, let's dive into the wild and wacky world of C-tier units in ball tower defense. These guys might not be top tier, but hey, they've got quirks, they've got charm, and sometimes they've got just enough juice to carry you through those tricky mid-game waves. Let's break them down and see what makes them tick. First up, Demon Ball. This one's like that friend who's decent in a pinch, but not winning any awards. It's got okay-ish DPS and adds a neat burn effect, which is cool, right? But the low range feels like it's trying to high-five enemies when it should be sniping them. Plus, the price tag on placement and upgrades? Oof, you're gonna feel that in your wallet. Use it if you're desperate, but don't get too attached. Now, Grassman is a bit of a show-off with its massive range and big AoE. It's got that look-at-me energy, and honestly, it kind of works. The DPS is just okay though, so it's more of a crowd clearer than a boss killer. Still, if you need someone to handle swarms, this guy's your grass-covered hero. Let's talk about Monkey. Good DPS? Yes. But the range? It's so low it's almost like Monkey is whispering sweet nothings to enemies before hitting them. It's adorable in a way, but frustrating when you're trying to keep up with faster-moving waves. Definitely a situational pick. Great in close-quarters maps, but otherwise, meh. Oh, and we can't forget DeGrungy, the hype machine of C tier. Summons on placement, no cooldown, and the potential for Giga DPS if you pair him with an auto-clicker and farm units. Sounds overpowered, right? Well, not quite. He's good, don't get me wrong, but he's not the game-breaking powerhouse the rumors might lead you to believe. Still, a solid choice for creative players who love experimenting. Lastly, let's give a shout-out to Flameball, the underappreciated pyromaniac. Big AoE? Check. Solid range? Yep. Burn effect and decent DPS? Double check. Flameball is the kind of unit that doesn't make a lot of noise but quietly holds its ground. If you're looking for a steady performer who knows their role, this one's for you. So, that's your C-tier squad. They've got potential, but they're not exactly stealing the spotlight. Perfect for players who like a bit of a challenge or want to flex their strategizing skills. Which one's your favorite underdog? Let me know in the comments. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Dart Monkey, Chef, Princess Ball, Power Armor Ball, Laser Ball, Knight Venomous Ball, Builder's Club Ball, Military Ball, and Frozen Ball. Alright, let's talk about the unsung heroes of Ball Tower defense, the B-tier units. They might not be the flashiest or most overpowered, but don't underestimate them. These balls can pack a punch when used correctly. Grab your snacks and sit tight because we're diving into the nitty-gritty of why these mid-tier champs deserve your attention. First up, we've got Dart Monkey. It's like that dependable friend who shows up to every group project. Cheap to place, cheap to upgrade, and it has decent pierce, so it can handle multiple enemies at once. But let's be real, its single-target DPS won't blow your mind. It's great early game, but if you're relying on it late game, you're in for a rough time. Think of Dart Monkey as your starter pack. Use it, but don't get too attached. Now, here's a wild one. Power Armor Ball. This thing is a beast when it comes to raw DPS. It tears through enemies like a hot knife through butter. But there's a catch. Its range is so short, it's practically a melee unit. Plus, the upgrades are expensive, so it's not for budget players. Pair it with some support units to cover its weaknesses, and you'll have a wrecking ball. Literally. On the topic of high-maintenance balls, let's talk about Venomous Ball. Poison is its game, and it's fantastic for wearing down tougher enemies over time. Its DPS is respectable, but the range? Barely there. Oh, and did I mention the upgrades are pricey? If you can afford it though, this ball can turn the tide in mid to late game scenarios. It's not for everyone, but Poison fans, this one's for you. For those who love strategy, meet Builder's Club Ball. This ball doesn't focus on damage, it's all about stalling enemies with walls. You want to slow down a horde while your heavy hitters do the dirty work? Builder's Club Ball is your MVP. Sure, the upgrades will cost you an arm and a leg, but the utility is so worth it. Pro tip, use it alongside Military Ball for a deadly 1-2 combo. And finally, let's not forget Frozen Ball, the ultimate crowd controller. Its AoE slow is perfect for buying time when things get chaotic. But here's the thing, it deals absolutely no damage. None. If Frozen Ball were in a school group project, it'd be the kid who organizes everything but doesn't write a single paragraph. Still, it's a lifesaver in clutch situations, so don't count it out. There you have it, the B-tier lineup in all its glory. These units aren't perfect, but with the right strategy and a little patience, they'll prove their worth. So, which of these balls do you rely on the most? Let me know in the comments. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Virus Ball, King Ball, Brain Ball, Slicer, Piercer, Roboball, Crusher, Giant Ball, Crusher Ball, Skateboarder, and Fancy Ball. Alright, let's dive into the juicy details of A-tier units in Ball Tower defense. If you've been wondering which units are worth your time without breaking the bank, or your patience, this is the spot to be. A-tier units are the unsung heroes, strong but not as flashy as the S-tier. Still, they pack a punch in their own ways. Let's break it down and see who's worth your hard-earned coins. First up, we have Virus Ball, your go-to for early waves. This thing spreads like a cold in a kindergarten. Its virus mechanic deals damage over time, DOT, to multiple enemies, making it perfect for handling those pesky early mobs. And the best part? It's cheap to place and upgrade. But don't get too comfortable. As the game progresses, Virus Ball tends to fall behind more powerful mythicals. Think of it as your dependable starter pack. It gets the job done until the big guns arrive. Next, there's King Ball, a true multitasker. This unit not only deals AoE damage, but also summons units to help out on the battlefield. It's like having a sidekick for your tower. The downside? Its range is embarrassingly short. If you can position it strategically though, it'll hold its own. It's not perfect, but hey, kings aren't known for doing all the heavy lifting themselves. Now let's talk about Slicer, the high DPS beast with AoE capabilities. Slicer shreds through enemies like butter, but don't get too excited. It falls just short of Crusher's insane damage potential. And the range? Let's just say it's more of a butter knife than a katana. Still, it's an excellent pick if you're on a budget and need something deadly in close quarters. And we can't ignore Piercer, the MVP of single target destruction. This unit boasts infinite pierce and good range, making it a sniper's dream. But you'd better have deep pockets because its upgrades are ridiculously expensive. If you're aiming for elite bosses or high HP targets, Piercer will carry you through. Just don't expect it to be wallet friendly. Finally, a quick shout out to Crusher and Giant Ball, the AoE champions. Crusher is a meta favorite with incredible AoE damage and surprisingly cheap upgrades for what it offers. On the other hand, Giant Ball brings good range and AoE DPS to the table, but you'll need to save up for its pricey upgrades. Both are solid picks if you're aiming for those massive late-game waves, and that's the A-tier rundown. These units may not always steal the spotlight, but they're reliable, versatile, and ready to carry you when the going gets tough. Got a favorite A-tier unit? Let me know in the comments. Let's geek out together. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Boulder, Baller, Golden Monkey, Partyman, Mini Baller, Angel Ball, and Minor Ball. You ever look at your lineup in Ball Tower defense and think, man, I just want to melt these waves and look cool doing it? Well, my friends, that's exactly where the S-tier units come in. These guys aren't just strong, they're meta-defining. Let's dive in and break down why these units are the absolute MVPs of any successful defense. First up, we've got Boulder, the big boy with the massive AoE attack. If you've ever wanted to see entire waves just disappear, this is your guy. His special line attack cuts through enemies like a hot knife through butter, and he's one of the top picks for mythical DPS. The only downside, his placement area can block other units, so you've got to plan around that. But hey, that's a small price to pay for literal rock-solid destruction. Next, let's talk about Baller, the mythical unit that doesn't just throw balls, he owns the field. With his bouncing attack and ridiculously high DPS, this dude is a menace. And get this, his upgrades are actually pretty cheap for a mythical, making him an easy pick for anyone trying to climb the leaderboard. Pair him with some good support and watch your enemies regret their existence. And speaking of support, how can we not mention Partyman? This absolute legend buffs ally range, damage, and SPA. He's the life of the party, literally. If you're building a meta lineup, Partyman is non-negotiable. Throw him in the backline and he'll make every other unit on your team look like an S-tier pick too. But maybe you're into single target destruction, in which case, Angel Ball and Mini Baller are your go-tos. Angel Ball's range might be short, but her extreme damage makes her a boss killer like no other. Meanwhile, Mini Baller hits hard, has solid range, and even comes with piercing attacks. Sure, their upgrades are pricey, but trust me, they're worth every coin. So, there you have it. S-tier units that turn your Ball Tower defense matches into an absolute flex. Whether you're crushing waves with Boulder or farming your way to victory with Golden Monkey, these are the units that make the magic happen. Got any favorites I missed? Drop them in the comments below and let's keep the meta conversation rolling. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Mecha Knight, Golem, Omega Knight, Void Ball, and Jester. Alright folks, let's talk about the heavyweights of Ball Tower defense. These units aren't just good, they're the absolute meta juggernauts. If you're rolling for S+ tier units, congrats, you've unlocked the cheat codes. Let's break down why these powerhouses are the rulers of the battlefield, starting with the one and only Mecha Knight. Mecha Knight is your best friend when you're desperate for instant damage. On placement, this bad boy starts pumping out insane DPS like it's his morning routine. It's cheap to max out, making it the MVP for both early game and late game. Honestly, if you're running Mecha Knight and still struggling, the problem isn't the unit, it's you. Now, Golem. This guy is the multitasking legend. AoE damage? Check. Single target precision? Double check. It's no wonder everyone's obsessed with Golem. The only catch? His range is, not the best. But who needs range when you've got this level of destruction happening up close? Stick him in a good spot, and Golem will do the rest. And let's not forget Void Ball. This unit is basically flexing on the rest with its massive range and lightning-fast cooldown. The only downside? Those upgrade costs will make your wallet cry. But hey, power like this doesn't come cheap, right? Pair it with Jester, who dominates both AoE and single-target DPS, and you've got a setup that's basically unfair to your enemies. These units aren't just S+ for no reason. They're the backbone of a winning strategy. And if you're lucky enough to have Omega Knight, well, let's just say you're in for some insane DPS action. Sure, the low range and meh placement stats might scare off newbies, but pros know it's all about how you use him. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.